Hello, we are together with Kyle from Akhlys. It's really nice to meet you. First of all, I'm really sorry about what happened in Sweden. We could read that on internet, and some people broke into your tour van and they took a lot of stuff, including your manager's personal belongings. It's really sad. What did the Swedish authorities tell about it? Do they think that they may be able to find the people who did that?
It doesn't sound like that might be the case. I don't have a whole lot of details on that end because our tour manager dealt with that part of it. But it doesn't sound like it'll probably be recoverable, any of it. So there was merch items, which was that was the least of it. But our tour manager's a lot of his personal items, like a laptop, and then and basically most of the money that we made off the tour. So all taken. So not a good thing.
Of course. We're really sorry that. But it's good news that Akhlys continues to tour. No problem with the touring.
Sure.
And I guess tomorrow will be your last show in Partisan. You will play Partisan.
Yes.
And how about the past shows in Europe? What do you think about the audience?
It's been great. It's been fucking amazing, man. I mean, just a lot of really packed, if not sold out shows. A lot of diehard fans. We had really good sound this time, and so I mean, we just had such a killer response, and diehard fans. So it's been great.
I was guessing to hear so. And this is your first time in Brutal Assault Festival.
It is.
I'm sure you heard about the name of the festival before.
Absolutely.
But what about your feelings and expectations about the show tonight?
Well, I didn't know what to expect. Now actually arriving here and being able to walk around and explore a bit, it's pretty amazing. Pretty fucking massive festival. Lots of people scoped out the stage that we're going to be playing on, and so we have really high expectations. So
Okay. And as a listener of yours, I would like to congratulate you for the latest album, House of the Black Geminus. It's really great. I think so. There are a lot of those black metal bands with these ambient elements in their music, but yours is extremely dark. How do you do that? What are your inspirations?
The inspirations I draw from come from two sides. Of course, from black metal and a lot of the older black metal stuff. A lot of the mid to late '90s stuff was a big influence for me, especially stuff like very early Emperor and the like. But also alongside that, a lot of dark industrial and dark ambient stuff. So stuff like In Slaughter Natives was a big one for me. Sephiroth, a lot of the cold meat industry stuff. So I think that as I was formulating the my own sound, I was kind of drawing from both sides, and so I think it's kind of more natural for me today to keep doing that.
I wrote a review of Black Geminus album approximately 1 month ago, and as a personal opinion, I wrote that there is a never-ending buzz in your music. I mean, like a hive of wasps attacking from place to place. There's always how do you manage to create this wall of sound?
Well, I think a lot of that is it was a combination of things, but I think that a lot of it is there's a lot of focus on very fast tremolo picking, which we're kind of known for, and then really a lot of stuff that's done on the high end of the guitar scale, and then that in combination with just kind of a thick wall of dark ambient type of voices.
And your lyrics, they look to be really well thought and not easy to interpret, I guess, for most of the listeners. Do you tell your own stories inspired by mythology and occultism or whatever? Or are there any secret meanings underlying under these any hidden messages, I guess.
Yeah, so I think that there's always a bit of both. I mean, being that it's based on the occult, I mean, the meaning of occult itself is, of course, hidden or secret. And so, but yeah, I know I'm speaking through a very occult language, a very esoteric language, and drawing from esoteric traditions. But I'm also, some of that stuff, even if you have a background in it, there might be certain things that you still could possibly miss, or some things that are maybe more personal to me, or even double meanings. So yeah, I think it's all in there. So.
Okay, thank you. And many musicians cite the names of other people, other artists, other musicians as their main influences. Do you have any artists, bands, or acts that helped pave your way?
I think at the beginning, again in the formative years when I was still developing my own sound, I would say like stuff like early Emperor, stuff like again in Slaughter Natives, Desideri Marginis. A lot of the stuff was truthfully on the dark ambient and dark industrial side, but not just the black metal side. But yeah, a lot of the early Norwegian stuff, and then some of the Swedish stuff too, like Dissection. But I was really a big fan of like Manez from Norway, and some of the more obscure stuff that maybe not everyone was aware of, or even the Forest Silence demos, just all kinds of different stuff that the darker it was, the more appealing it was to me, more so than the melodic stuff. So yeah.
And also, the black metal said to be started naturally in Europe by Venom, Celtic Frost, and Battery, and it grew bigger in Norway with a lot of events taking place. But most of the bands are trying different things. They are much more different compared to their beginning of their careers. What do you think about it? Is that acceptable to you as a band or as a listener?
Yeah. I mean, a band should have all the freedom in the world to do as ever it wishes and decide which direction that they want to go. Of course, there's some dangers in that. You could be the band that never changes and just keeps rehashing the same album over and over and over, and maybe that's not so interesting. Or you could be the band that goes too far in the other direction and sounds completely so detached from your original spirit that maybe it starts to lose people. So it's kind of a tricky thing. It's for every band to decide for themselves. So.
For example, you may be making a very harsh, very heavy type of music, and then at the end you're doing very acceptable and very easy listening things. Is that a kind of what can I say, artistic freedom or deterioration? How could you explain it? How could you define it?
I suppose that's in the eye of the beholder. Really, it's going to be up to each individual listener on how they interpret that. I mean, we see this happen with especially bigger bands. Happens all the time. Become more accessible as their sound becomes more accessible. And again, I think that's fine if they wish to do that. That's not where I want to go. That isn't right for me. And so I would hate to ever see myself in the future being one of those bands. I would hope that I would give up much before then, or put down my guitar or do something differently. But I always appreciate that the diehard bands that tend to or have a capacity to put out something interesting and good and still stay true to the spirit.
Okay. And how about your image on stage? You have a fascinating, different, and eerie presence on stage. Do these costumes, these clothes, and all of the stuff, do they present something you imagined, or is it?
Sure. Yeah. So we kind of see the masks as like a representation of like the inner demon, or like the hidden self, or the dark self, or however you want to term that. And so it's kind of fetishistic way of representing that. And again, there's traditions behind this, and different traditions from different cultures with the symbolism of a mask within ritual use. And so that's how we look at it, we try and keep it very straightforward and not overly elaborate or overly theatrical, but just enough.
Okay. It's interesting that you played Israel a few days before those attacks by Hamas, and maybe you had a chance that you weren't there 2 days later. And today that things are much worse. And what do you think about the last situation in that region?
Well, it's a complex situation, so I don't want to weigh in politically on that. But it was certainly bizarre to have that basically all kick off while we were still there. Technically, we were on the airplane, but not in the air. We were on the tarmac waiting to take off when it all began. So very surreal. The climate that I experienced there was not one of tension so much, but also I was only in a very specific part in Tel Aviv, and so it's crazy to see these things occur, and the times we're moving into maybe aren't the best, and seeing these signs of the time occur and just barely getting out of there was very surreal.
I know you're really busy creating music, and you have other bands too, like Nightbringer, ST Arcana, Aurotos. Do you have any plans in the future to prepare something new with any other bands?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been planning for quite some time to do at least one more Nightbringer. When that'll occur, I cannot say exactly. Also, I've been working on Best Arcana. Aurotos probably will be a one-off, probably won't happen again. But my main focus these days is Akhlys.
Okay. And my friend from Extreminal Metal Magazine, he told me that he thinks your latest album is the heaviest one. What do you think about it?
Oh, that's hard for me to say. It's good. It's always good to hear. Being right at the center of it all, it's always hard to see things objectively. But no, I think that there's definitely some of the heaviest parts or heaviest songs are perhaps on the new album. So I can see why someone would think that.
Do you have any other plans for the future music of Akhlys, or will you continue in a way that you're at the moment?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, the core spirit of Akhlys will remain the same. There's not going to be any dramatic departures. So how that comes together, we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.